All right, that looks better. So now I started thinking back to Desert Storm and how toxic it is, or how toxic it was. Right. So if they do really, and they're in danger right now because they relocated back, right, to those areas. It is very toxic. It can cause birth defects and harm the children and all sorts of things. You know, in recent times, they have the burn pits and stuff like that. I mean, at a certain point, it just doesn't make sense for a certain portion of them, at least. And the Gaza is actually overpopulated, if I'm not mistaken. It's very dense. And again, the idea is to give them a real new life. In these other nations. And then, again, the idea would be the people that relocate will help build the homes. I guess it would be high rise, I imagine. It's just, you have to explain the health hazards. Right. I mean, it's not what they want, but what they want may not be attainable. Right. They'll be treated fairly in their new country, won't have to worry about a future war. Right. And again, they could actually continue on in construction once the place is built. Right. And there's other things that are needed. People need to watch the children while they're working. People need to cook food for the workers. I think the Palestinians are pretty good at that because of the refugee situation. Right. Pulling together and giving up tasks, right, cooking for the group. My stomach's a little bit better, but we'll see later on. Now, I did something that doesn't make sense. Well, you tell me you got gas and you were eating beans. Well, when I ate beans and rice, it was probably the best my stomach ever was. Now, there's probably a reason for that, because if you don't, beans digest real quick, right? And rice probably slows it down enough. Right? So I didn't feel like driving because I'm all messed up today. So I did an order from Walmart and ordered a ton of their no salt beans. They got like 24 containers. Half black beans, half pinto beans. It worked. It worked for me last time. When I was sick, I was eating a lot of beans and rice. Again, it's also a protein in there. For a vegetarian, it's great. Well, I was able to lay a little bit. I investigated a few things. And it didn't trigger, it's not perfect, but it didn't trigger the big attack. And I didn't feel like driving, and I had a few left of generic Nexium, but I wanted name brand. So I'm going to try some Nexium too. Thank you, Larry. And hopefully, I can get back to something stable. Now, we have some cold. It's going to warm up for a couple of days, then it's going to drop again. They were teasing us. It doesn't look like it's an early spring, but then again, it could change. Same thing happened last year. They thought it was going to be an early spring, and then by the time it got closer, they changed the weather report. But the sun will be out tomorrow. It'll be real nice. Yeah, I wanted to buy some new socks from from Amazon, but I missed the shipping time for delivery today, so I had them buy some rather cheap, I mean, they're nice, but Walmart socks, or should I say they're sufficient. Price was cheap, so. Well, it's understood all these things about the Palestinians and how that's their land and all that. But at a certain stage of the game, and no, I'm not working for Trump, all right? Although I am helping you, right? Right. A certain stage of the game, I'm not big on that. Like, it has to be this land or it has to be that land. As long as you have, I mean, the idea is to give you land if the others will agree. And again, if you're agreeing to do it and they're going to give money for construction, in the national community, we then see things opening up in other nations possibly. Right. Like they don't want you dumped in a tent and put on on the other side of the Israeli border or something like that, right? No, because it's a certain level of charity and charitable intention. And I know the deal is for everybody, but I think we could find funding for a partial relocation. And really, that does help everyone involved. It's just, again, a lot are dead, so I don't know how populated it is. Well, I think the idea is it's going to be an initial refugee camp wherever they decide they're going to build the structures. And so everybody will be there to help build the structures, or do some other job. Right. So initially it will be that situation. So these are the things that we need to start thinking about. And President Trump has petitioned Iran for some sort of possible negotiation, which is, reducing the friction. No, it's not really that important. As long as their agreement. Again, for Iran to have nuclear weapons, it could just maybe be another 5-10 years of de-escalation, and then they could work something out, right? The Palestinian plight is a sad thing, but I don't know what numbers we'd be looking at, but they would have a safe place to live within a relatively short period of time. Right. It's not only the leftover munitions, right, which do kill children and things like that when they don't, know what it is, and it's the fact that they exploded all that munitions, right, and it's just nasty stuff. Right. It's just toxic. Right. I mean, I don't know where it's going and who would accept, but looking at the present situation, And knowing, people having desert storm syndrome could be from toxic things. Right. The burn pits in the more recent wars, Agent Orange, that kind of stuff. It's probably best to just, at least a certain percentage to just move on. And, with representations, you have to be guaranteed a life, in the new community. I don't think it would work to separate the Palestinians as far as the new country. It would be better just to build a Palestinian city. Well, you can't like, what do they call that? You can't secede from Jordan or Egypt if that happens. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. We can talk about water desalination plants if they do it in Egypt or even, I think, Turkey maybe. Maybe even, do some solar power. That they would have a nice life. So again, I don't think you're going to get everybody to agree. But if we can reduce that population by, I'm not saying that in a derogatory way. If we can reduce that crowding, that overcrowding, and all, there's nothing there right now. If we can reduce that, by a substantial amount, maybe even a quarter, that would make a big difference. Right. But I think if we do it right, you would probably have people that would, because it doesn't make any sense to keep having what's happened happen and, just finally settle down somewhere and have a good life. Right. Israel is really, it's just a dangerous thing where the whole thing is right now. Hang on. Well, because this thing could blow up really big. Like, it's just the fact that, the Arabic nations could finally say no. Right. And just make you persona non grata. It hasn't been like that for quite some time. You've argued back and forth. You tried to negotiate. So everybody was holding out for negotiations. Right. And I do have a right to speak anyway, because I'm the guy that came up with the Pan-Arab Israeli Union, like, before anybody did it or even thought about it. Right. It may not work, if they don't cooperate. Right. I have a right to speak. So again, we with the children that are left and the families that are left, what's the chances of a well life where they were? Well, I don't think that anybody's going to negotiate a two-state solution at this point. We could have did it years ago. It would have flew. It would have worked. And again, the problem is everybody thought that the borders have to stay the way they are. I think we could have negotiated a little territory here, a little territory moved there, and I think we could have got it across if we changed some of the territory. Not to say you don't get any of this or any of that, and you're only over there, but, just kind of trim this down over here, give a little extra over there, that kind of thing. Right. I just never entered into it. And they killed me the whole time. Can you imagine that? One of the few people actually actively seeking peace in Israel. I didn't see very many people online on Facebook with, the government, because it was Condoleezza Rice was doing it, and Bush. Right. They were, and Cheney, they were online with Omer, and I don't have any record of it because I don't have my Facebook from that then was wiped, and that's maybe why they did it, to hide that I actually worked on that. As you know, as a just a kind of there in spirit, but also I got power, so metaphysical. Right? I was minding it like I speak about. It just, I got to thinking about Desert Storm, and I got to thinking about the kids, and I'm thinking they're there now, probably rolling in that garbage. Right. It'd just be better to get them out of there. The only thing is, it takes time to build the structures in the new nation. Right. But I think if we go, I don't think they have structures where they are either in a lot of these places. So if they move in and they move into a tent city like where they've been living, of course it's going to be, you're not going to have to move to because IDF is attacking or anything like that. Right. So you get to stay there, and they could build it. I don't know how fast they can build those things. Is there? Let me see. Talk about something saying prefab. So I'm not sure, whether that exists over there. I don't think we will be able to do like just regular houses, or like row homes even. Well, maybe they could. I don't know. Again, you have to figure it out. But again, it'll lessen the load on everybody on what's going on in the Gaza. And again, you could open it up to people in the West Bank and Gaza. Whoever, whichever Palestinian wants to go, they can go. Right. And they get settled in the new land. Right. And it'll be over. You won't have to worry anymore. Again, I don't know what the new countries are going to say, but I think if the international community funds a new city with utilities, and I think they would do it, so that the city is self-sufficient is what we're looking at, right? Thank you, Larry. And the idea is also to come up with a employment plan, right? So we build something. Again, there's obviously going to be markets and mechanic shops, and see, that's the thing, to get to a normal life where people can eventually maybe get cars and things like that, right? Thank you. Now, again, I don't know what Trump administration is going to do from their angle, but that's kind of like, the thing is, everybody's pushing back on the plan, right? But we can take that plan, we can modify it a little bit, and maybe get some of it through, and then reduce the number of people that are there, which gives everybody some breathing room. Right. We thank you, sir. I just, from a visionary, from a seer point of view, I can see happy children and happy mothers. Thank you, Large. So I know it'll work. You build your own mosque. I mean, again, the international community, I think, if you're willing to do it, I think they would be willing to fund it. Right. Well, because they're sad for everything that's happened. Right. Thank you. So it's just a matter of maybe some nation agreeing to a city to be built. Maybe we could build it on a hill so it can't be hid. And again, you build your churches too, because you have Palestinian Christians. I forgot about them. Right. Well, sometimes it doesn't work the way you had planned, but it works the way it works. Right. There'll be schools, there'll be education. Now, there'll be no Hamas. That's the one key. Hamas can't start up there. Right. But they can, run so essentially be like, I don't know if they have states over there. Be a city. You have a municipality police and all that. Right. But again, something more like the Palestinian Authority. Great. It's just it's definitely an easy way out for normalcy to enter into some people's lives a little bit sooner. Right. And we really have a large, if a large number of people move, then we have a large number of construction workers and things like that, and people that can cook and people that can watch the kids. Again, you probably want to start up school as soon as possible. So that would probably be part of it. Thank you, sir. Again, these are quadruplets that were born or something. They need a future. These kids need a future. Glad to see the alternative Trump. I guess he released some information where he was looking to possibly negotiate with Iran. Right. It was just getting too negative, too weird. Right. So that'll help the markets. I can feel it, that it would most likely, at least alleviate the fears. Because again, it may help the market from crashing next week, or something, or in the 2 days, or I don't know what day is that, or like next Monday or Tuesday, right? Because they're getting skittish. Correct, Larry. Well, I don't know what the answer is. I know the answer. Like a two-state solution kind of works, but again, I think the board. I don't think Israel's ready to accept a two-state solution on the or the previous borders. Right. 100%. So again, that was always something that could have been modified. But I think just to block Trump, it's not worth it. If we can get something together where we build cities for these people, and again, we're talking about bringing them into normalcy where they get to raise their children quietly and they get to go to continuous school. There's nobody harassing the man when he's, again, I think some of these areas, if you want to farm, that's the only sadness. A lot of these people love the olive farming, right? But I'm not sure which location that is. That's probably not the Gaza, or is it the Gaza? It's probably over in the West Bank, maybe. Right. So, but if you farm, you can turn the desert green. It's possible, right? So maybe we'll look at some hydroponics and some other things to help them grow their olives. Thank you, Larry. It's just, when I look at what's going to happen in Israel, it's just a blah world. It's just not. I mean, I myself would not want to, if I was a Palestinian, want to live another day in Israel if there was an opportunity to go somewhere else. But I know you call it Palestine. I understand all of that. Right. I mean, if Egypt were to allow you to live there, or Jordan, I mean, I'd appreciate it. Right. And I mean, it has to be something real. There has to be financing to build something wonderful. Right. Make it worthwhile. And to keep, not to keep, but to move the Palestinian nation forward. Again, I don't know what happened to Elon Musk over the years, but he gets weird, and I That's why he gets divorced. Like if I was married to him, I'd divorce him because he's not the same Elon from like 2 years ago. Yeah, and I know I changed too. I know that, right? But he said, the education. He said, the Palestinians need these things so that they understand to live a different life and all these things, and they can live that other life. They're empowered to live a different life. Right. So he was right, but I don't even know where he is now. He's probably like, no, we can't spend the money. Stupid idea. Who came up with that? You, Elon. So, thank you, Larry. There's some things we might be able to do to make a better world there for those people. And again, it could be a sizable number as long as you lay it all out and it's real. The funding comes in, and right. I mean, you do a quick mock-up. Try to be a little bit more accurate than SVS's project. Cost overruns, I heard. But again, Matt, we can go along with some of those ideas. Or is it SBS? What's his name? SBM. What is it? What's his name? Let me see if I can find him. Salman. I'll find his name. What's this guy's name? We just got to be more accurate on the costs. So again, we could take a scaled down version of the line, right? I don't know if that'd be too expensive, probably, but he's got ideas, so he could his people could probably help design those cities. And the idea of bringing in solar desalination plants if they're near the water, that's that's probably a good idea, is to see if we can get some land near water and do desalination, because again, how do you get the water? That becomes a burden. But if you desalinate, which is going to take time, of course, right? And we run a lot of solar power in there. It's going to be nice, right? Thank you, Larry. Again, they're generally humble people living a humble life. That it doesn't take a lot to make them happy, right? But again, we don't want them to be bombed ever again. And again, I don't know if that could be promised on this planet. But right. Well, they're not all Hamas. We all know that. We all know they were harassed, and they kind of supported Hamas because why? Because they're being harassed. Right. Whether they agree with Hamas or not, they don't like you because your people's harassing them, harassing their uncle. So I think we have an opportunity. Again, President Trump came up with the idea of the complete relocation, but I think that's kind of been shot down. So we can work off of that and do a partial relocation, but hoping large numbers. Again, to build a city, we need a sizable number of people to relocate. Right. And then through that number of people, we have people to be school teachers. We have people to be construction workers, build up the medical facilities. Right. and then we can put the kids into school real quick because we can do a tent school, right? Or tent schools, right? Well, I think we should look at that. I don't know. Again, it's just bouncing around. I don't know if Egypt really would want something like that, or Jordan, or Turkey, or it's probably Turkey may actually be one of the better locations because it's I think it's less deserty up there. I can't remember. I have to look on the map and look at the area, but I think your olives will grow better in. And if you're an olive person, you're probably pulling for Turkey. You get your olives grow up there, but I don't know how much space Turkey has. Right? But again, they already have Palestinians, I think, right? And they appreciate the plight. Right? So I imagine at some point there was relocation and things, right? Previously. Thank you, Larry. Well, it could be a glorious future. And again, we're talking about an internationally funded modern city, with solar and maybe desalination for water, right? Or whatever else they do. Maybe digging wells if that's what it needs to be, right? If there are wells, right? So you can turn it into something nice, right? Even though it's not what you wanted. But I don't think you're going to get everybody to go. I just don't think some people they can't see that. I'm sure. But again, if you're raising children like that guy right there, that had those kids, those babies, right? I'm sure he'd want a place for them that's quiet and well. Right. What is that? I think. Oh, I closed it out. I think. Let me go see. There it is. So they had quadruplets during all that craziness, right? So again, you look to the future, look to their life. It'd be much better in a peaceful place. I mean, they don't even have to know that people hate them because they're Palestinian. Right? That's what we're looking for. So we have to be careful. We have to, really move them into a place where they're welcomed. And I think Turkey is one of those places. Again, we haven't called on Turkey, but and I think it's less hot there, so it's probably for agriculture. And I don't know what kind of land they could get there, and if they would agree. Right. Well, it's when you get to Turkey, it starts taking you out of the conflict zone. It really does. And again, Egypt has the MFO there, which I was for 6 months, and that takes you out of the conflict zone a little bit, also. Right. Right. So again, you approach it independently. You say, look, this isn't. The deal with Israel is something different. It's for everybody to go. This is something a little different, same thing, but different, right? If we can get a sizable number of Palestinians to agree to relocate, we could build them a new city somewhere. Get international funding, get feel it out, get the commitments, right? Thank you, Larry. I think people would pay as long as they were leaving voluntarily, right? 100%. Like I said, whatever it is in Arabic, you can call it New Palestine or New Jerusalem. That's we have cities in the United States that are named that. Right. Bless you, Larry. So at least we have, we can take care of a certain number of people that are willing to move on. Breathe, Larry. So again, my stomach seems like it's coming around. And I bought some of that stock or whatever they call it. Their espresso is very low acid. So I'll run a course of Nexium just in case. Right. No, it was pretty bad. It's a torture. Because every time you try to fall asleep, this gas builds up in your chest and you have to wake. It's like causes sleep apnea. Right. And I don't even think that the CPAP machine or whatever they call it would clear it. Because it keeps generating this gas and it comes up into the chest. Right. So it blocks you from breathing. Right. It's almost like it's not like pneumonia, but it's a certain type of pneumonia. They actually call it a pneumonia. Right. Where the gas from your stomach goes up into your chest. Right. But it only occurs when I sleep because I'm all relaxed, so it's the only way for it to do it. Otherwise, it doesn't get past that location. So we're back to nasty weather. But even though I didn't sleep, I still feel better. So I'm hoping that it was just bad food or something. Which means I got to call Amazon at a certain point. See if they'll take that food or at least refund it. Yeah, I just did a little mouthwash, and when I did it earlier, it really irritated my stomach. I don't feel anything now. So the lining of my stomach is probably returning to normal. 90% humidity outside. Is it? Oh, is it? What is it doing? I guess it's raining or something. So I was actually trying to plan how to get back to massage therapy, and that happened. So again, there's a curse against massage therapy that also kicks in around that. Right. Need to make sure these people stay out of my apartment. I'm not mistaken. They were in here several times at least. My new inserts orthotics are definitely stiffer than the ones I had. I'm not quite there yet. I need massage, and it'll probably be a little easier. But I still have stiff sections of my ankles and legs that has to be worked out. Again, should have been done over the last 3 or 4 years, but they were really torturing me. Right. I'm probably most likely drugged. Right. But it's good to see Trump at least balance and strike a different tone. Right. Right. We got to focus on our missions. We can't fight the world all day. Right. We got to fight what we need to fight. Right. Right. I don't know if any of the cartels will stand down and turn in their weapons and pay a restitution finding or order, right? And then we let them go do private business. I don't know if that one will work, but worth a try. 100%. Kind of giving them amnesty, as long as they take some of the money they have and pay back for the damage. Right. And then they would invest their money because I don't know. I guess they probably already still do. They still invest it through, straw investors or something. But they would be allowed to invest their money. They probably wouldn't even need to actually work, but they could do startups and things like that. Right. But it has to be lawful business. Right. Thank you, Larry. Well, the idea is if we can get, it's failed, so many times because of what's going on. But if we can get Central America up and South America up, and again, there's no reason to fight Z if we can make a deal because we need him to put roads in. Right. I mean, we're going to do it too, I guess now. I guess Marco Rubio says we're going to, and I said we should do our own too, right? But we should kind of, if we coordinate with China, if we can make some sort of friendship, right, some sort of relationship, it'd go a lot quicker, right? Well, these are places that we have where consumers live. So we have to build the infrastructure for the consumers. I explained that years ago. I think China bid on it. That's part of the Silk Road, I think, or whatever it is. Is it Silk Road? What do they call it? Right. Thank you, Lawrence. It's like everybody's like, oh, Lara's working for Fox News. She needs a job somewhere. Thank you, sir. Like it's always back and forth the adversarial thing. Right. I mean, she doesn't need a job, but she went out there, she worked independently, and now she wants to do it still, right? Independent of Trump.org or Trump World, right? Thank you. Remember, anytime you're ready to pay me, I'm ready to take the money. Yeah. I'm not telling her Lara to pay me unless she wants to. Don't pay me, Lara. I'll take money. So last time I really wasn't looking for money, but if you'd given me money, I'd have been protected. I was looking for just basic law enforcement protection like everybody else has. Right. 100%. Little basic protection, they never would have been able to harass me like they did. Right. They'd have been arrested. Right. I mean, I imagine the officers would have said something first before they, said that's it and arrested them. But right. Thank you, Larry. The left side's a little bit tight. I got to figure out how to work that out. Right. It causes a little pain there. If it was relaxed, it wouldn't be any pain. I might need that ablazing thing. They kill the two little nerves, right? I mean, these people just, they're sitting there stalking me 24/7. Been so forever, just about. Thank you, sir. So I guess the future for Israel is still in question because I don't think that we're going to see that plan work. Right. I mean, again, our military over there, it's just, you don't want to go near the Gaza. Now, if you want to hire, prior military for IED and ordnance disposal, and you want to hire security people for a police force, that's different. Like we did in, I think, Bosnia and Kuwait. So, again, I don't know what more I can say for now about the Palestinian thing. It's simply there's going to be a meeting with Trump. I mean, maybe he can make a deal that they want and they agree, but I don't. Again, it's I guess the principle of it for them, right? Like Saudi Arabia, we have a defense thing. I mean, we make money off it, I guess, too, but we have a defense thing with Saudi Arabia. But they have enough money; they don't need our money. So I don't think you're going to get them to budge. And if they don't budge, or other nations won't maybe budge, right? Or most likely won't budge. Just some nasty weather. What a crazy day. And last night, oh my God. And it's weird because when I burp, it's just weird. It's just so much gas and but it attacks my, like, I don't know. I guess I must have had a bug or something. All right. Because I even try to like make gas now and it's not easy. Like try to burp, Right. So that food may not be good. Right. Agreed. It's probably the miso soup that's in the package, like the soup base and all that. If because I don't think the noodles go bad, but I'm not willing to take a chance. Right. When I tried to return it, I couldn't click through. So they're usually pretty good. As soon as you call and say there's an issue, they just let you keep it. But I'm not going to eat it. I'm not going to give it to anyone else either. Right. It's like, I think freeze dried tofu, green onion, a soup base. So it's nice for that energy to change a little bit. For Trump to come up with some, peace negotiation, which gives people hope in the market. It's not going to be one turmoil after another. Right. Well, because it was killing everything. And then Elon has to stop hating on government employees. Right. Because they're the ones actually that are going to do this work. Elon and his little crew isn't going to get rid of the immigrants or stop the cartel. Right. It's going to end up in court anyway.
Correct.